Imagine this. You're locked in a room with your enemy. Your enemy has the only key. For 6 weeks you've screamed, threatened, negotiated, begged, nothing worked. And then you pull out your own lock and add it to the door. That's exactly what the President of the United States just did. On Friday, America sent its vice president to Islamabad, the highest level talks with Iran since 1979. 21 hours of negotiation, the most intense diplomatic effort of a generation. And it failed. Sunday morning, Trump announced that the U.S. Navy will blockade the Strait of Hormuz, the same strait he's been demanding for 6 weeks that Iran keep open. Now he's closing it himself, and the entire world is going to pay the price for that decision. But this is what I want to show you today. This blockade didn't fail due to bad luck. It was designed to fail before it began. And when you understand who designed it, you'll understand everything about this war. Let's begin. On April 11th and 12th, something historic happened in Islamabad. Vice President J.D. Vance sat across from the President of the Iranian Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. 21 hours of direct negotiation, the highest level diplomatic contact between the United States and Iran since 1979. 47 years of silence broken in a hotel room in Pakistan, and it failed. But before talking about the failure, look at the numbers surrounding those talks. The price of oil had surpassed $104 per barrel. The American Consumer Confidence Index fell to the lowest level in the entire recorded history of the University of Michigan. Not since the 2008 crisis, not since COVID. The lowest level ever documented. With those numbers on the table, the United States needed a deal more than Iran. That's a fact, not an opinion. And yet, the talks collapsed Sunday morning. The official narrative blamed Iran for being inflexible. But when you review exactly what the American team demanded inside that room, you find something that doesn't add up. Something that completely changes the reading of what happened in Islamabad. Because the question nobody's asking out loud is this: did the negotiations fail because Iran said no, or did they fail because they were never designed to produce a yes? That's what we're going to dismantle now. Vance was 21 hours inside the Serena Hotel in Islamabad. And during those 21 hours, the central demand of the American team was just one: that Iran completely eliminate its uranium enrichment capacity, and that it hand over all enriched material directly to the United States. Now stop and think about what that means. Iran has been enriching uranium legally for decades under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The 2015 nuclear deal kept that. Enrichment at 3.5%. International inspectors confirmed compliance. The deal was working. Then Trump in his first term destroyed it unilaterally. And now he sends his vice president to demand something even more extreme than what he himself destroyed. But here's the question nobody's asking. Whose demand is that? Because eliminating enrichment is not America's central interest in this war. America's central interest is reopening the Strait of Hormuz. It's lowering oil prices before the midterm elections. It's stopping the economic bleeding you already see in the data. Uranium enrichment is Israel's obsession, not America's. For more than a decade, Israeli leaders said it publicly. Israeli generals declared before the 2015 deal that they preferred a poor Iran under sanctions to a rich Iran that could defend itself. That's documented, and that's this channel's reading. Vance didn't bring to Islamabad a policy designed to end the war. He brought a policy designed to satisfy Israel while America pays the cost. And while Vance was negotiating inside, Prime Minister Netanyahu appeared on camera and said that the campaign against Iran hadn't ended. At the same time, Israel continued bombing Lebanon. Hundreds dead, buildings destroyed, civilians massacred. And that was precisely Iran's condition number one for any deal: ceasefire throughout the region, including Lebanon. The map looks like this, Iran said. Stop bombing Lebanon or there's no deal. Israel kept bombing, the talks collapsed, and Trump blamed Iran. This is this channel's thesis. The negotiations didn't fail by chance. They were sabotaged. And the sabotage didn't come from Tehran. It came from Tel Aviv. Sunday morning, Trump appeared on Fox News and announced the naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. His exact words were these: everything in, everything out. Complete. All or nothing. A total blockade. But then his own military command said something completely different. CENTCOM issued an official statement clarifying that the blockade would apply only to ships entering and leaving Iranian ports. Ships destined for Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, those can pass. So what's the truth? Is it a total blockade like the president said? Or is it a partial blockade directed only at Iran like his own military said? Nobody in the world knows for certain, including apparently the American government itself. And on top of the blockade, the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump is also considering resuming limited military strikes against Iran. If that happens, the 2-week ceasefire ends, and every diplomatic channel opened in Islamabad closes permanently. This isn't a strategy. It's a government throwing decisions at the wall hoping something works. And now I'm going to show you exactly why it's not going to work. There are 5 structural reasons why this blockade is going to fail. They're not opinions. They're structural realities of the type that don't care what any president thinks or tweets. Reason number 1, this blockade hurts America more than Iran. Iran has been under American sanctions for 47 years. 47 years. Longer than most people watching this video have been alive. The Iranian economy has been squeezed, strangled, and deprived for almost half a century. And Iran is still standing, still controlling the Strait of Hormuz. Sanctions didn't break Iran. 6 weeks of bombing didn't break Iran. A naval blockade isn't going to break Iran. Now look at the other side. The price of oil jumped above $104 per barrel the moment Trump announced the blockade. Energy experts warn of a shortage of 7 million barrels of crude oil daily, plus 4 million barrels of refined products. The Iranian parliament spokesperson responded to the blockade by posting on social media a map with gas prices near the White House, with a single line: "Enjoy the current prices. Soon you'll miss gas at $4 or $5. In a game of who lasts longer, the one who can endure the pain longest wins." Iran has been training for this for 47 years. America hasn't trained for any of this. Reason number 2, America is completely alone. The United Kingdom refused to participate in the blockade. Australia declared it wasn't even consulted, calling the decision unilateral. NATO hasn't backed it. The European Union hasn't backed it. Not a single Gulf state has publicly committed ships. And meanwhile, the United Kingdom is building its own coalition of more than 40 countries to reopen the strait through diplomacy. 40 countries working on a completely different plan than the American president's. When your blockade has 0 allied support and 40 countries are working around you, you're not leading. You're alone in the middle of the ocean wondering why nobody followed you. Reason number 3, China already called America's bluff, and this is the part that changes everything. On Sunday, the Chinese defense minister, Admiral Jun, issued a public statement. Chinese commercial and naval vessels are transiting the Strait of Hormuz without interruptions. China will honor its energy agreements with Iran, and he warned external powers against interfering in China's bilateral affairs. Translated from diplomatic language to direct English, China told the United States this: "Our ships are going through. Try it if you want." And it's not just words. Chinese vessels have been paying the Iranian transit toll in Chinese yuan, not dollars. That alone tells you where this region's financial architecture is heading. And American intelligence confirmed that China is preparing to deliver new air defense systems to Iran, specifically portable anti-aircraft missiles known as manpads, the same type of weapon that shot down an American F-15E over Iran on April 3rd. Trump himself confirmed it at a press conference. Connect the dots. China is sending Iran exactly the weapons that are killing American pilots. China is sending ships through the strait Trump says he's going to blockade, and the Chinese defense minister is publicly challenging the United States to do something about it. So what does the U.S. Navy do when a Chinese oil tanker approaches the blockade line? Board it? That risks a military confrontation with the world's second largest navy. Sink it? That's an act of war against a nuclear power. Let it pass? Then every country in the world registers its tankers under Chinese flag, and the blockade becomes a joke. And there's something else that should keep every American strategist awake tonight. If the United States establishes the precedent that a naval power can blockade an international strait, China will use that same precedent to blockade Taiwan. America would be handing China the legal and strategic framework to do exactly what it's tried to prevent for 70 years. Reason number 4, Iran has escalation options that America can't match. On Sunday, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard warned that any military vessel approaching the Strait of Hormuz will be dealt with harshly. Iran's senior military advisor spoke of great untapped leverage to counter the blockade. Great untapped leverage. Remember that phrase? Because they're talking about the Red Sea. Iran's allies, the Houthis in Yemen, control the Bab el-Mandeb Strait at the southern entrance to the Red Sea. That waterway carries between 12 and 15% of global trade. If Trump blocks Hormuz, Iran makes a phone call, and the Houthis close the Red Sea. Now you have 2 of the world's most critical maritime choke points closed simultaneously. Oil doesn't just get more expensive, it disappears from the market. Fertilizers stop flowing, food prices rise globally, and the world doesn't enter a recession. It enters a depression. The American president is playing on one board. Iran is playing on too, and Iran has a piece on the second board that America can't reach. Reason number 5. The real winner of this blockade is Russia. Russian oil doesn't transit through Hormuz. Every barrel trapped in the Persian Gulf is a barrel the world has to replace, and the replacement comes from Russia. Before this war began, Russia's oil revenues were collapsing. The Kremlin was preparing budget cuts. Then the war started, and Russia's oil fiscal revenues doubled to $9 billion in a single month. The blockade will push prices even higher. Russia will earn even more. And here's the part that should make every American citizen furious. Trump lifted sanctions on Russian oil to keep global prices low during the war. And now, Trump blocks Hormuz, which pushes global prices up. The net effect is that Russia sells more oil at higher prices with American permission. The country whose satellites helped Iran locate and destroy American military aircraft is being financially rewarded by the American president who says he's winning this war. So what's really happening? Because this blockade isn't about strategy, it's about psychology. Trump sent his vice president to negotiate Israel's demands. Iran said no. And Trump, who has built his entire political identity on winning, on dominance, on the idea that nobody can resist his pressure, just got publicly rejected. Sunday morning on Fox News, he said this: "I could destroy Iran's entire energy infrastructure in a day, in an hour." And then he added that the only thing left would be its water, and that it would be very devastating to attack it. The President of the United States is fantasizing on live television about destroying a nation's water supply. The same day, he posted AI-generated images of himself as Jesus Christ on social media. While his own American Pope, Cardinal Robert Prevost, born in Chicago, who assumed office as Pope Leo XIV in 2025, harshly condemns this escalation of the conflict, and 3 American cardinals publicly condemned him on 60 Minutes. This is not the behavior of a leader executing a strategy. It's the behavior of a man who has lost control of the situation and is reacting in all directions. The blockade is not a calculated move. It's an emotional reaction to a diplomatic humiliation. And emotional reactions in the middle of a war are how empires commit the mistakes they never recover from. So what comes now? These are my 3 predictions. Prediction number 1. This blockade collapses in less than 45 days. Gas prices in America will approach $6 per gallon. Republican congressmen facing midterm elections will publicly break with the president. And Trump, who cares about the economy more than anything else, will find a way to declare victory and quietly end the blockade without getting anything in return. Prediction number 2. In less than 3 weeks, a Chinese-flagged vessel will transit the blockade line. The U.S. Navy won't stop it, and that single moment will demonstrate to the entire world that America's blockade is impossible to enforce. Other countries will immediately follow. Prediction number 3. Within 6 months, when the dust settles, we'll see that the blockade achieved exactly the opposite of everything it set out to do. It didn't weaken Iran, it strengthened its negotiating position. It didn't isolate Iran, it isolated America. It didn't lower oil prices, it raised them. And it didn't bring the end of the war closer, it made it more difficult. Let me leave you with the pattern, because the pattern is what matters. In my first video, I showed how China won this war by playing on all 3 boards simultaneously: the military, the diplomatic, and the economic. In my second video, I showed how America had already lost the Islamabad talks before they began, and we saw them collapse exactly as I described. In my third video, I showed how Russia is earning billions in a war it never joined, and this blockade is about to make it even richer. Today I showed you the blockade, the moment the President of the United States decided to lock himself inside his own trap. He wanted the door to open, and he added another lock. Every action America takes in this war makes America weaker and its adversaries stronger. There's a phrase I keep coming back to: when your only move is to do to yourself what your enemy has been doing to you, you didn't find a strategy, you found a mirror. And in that mirror, for the first time, you can see the face of an empire that no longer recognizes itself. That's my analysis.